For this guided meditation and reflection, we'll go through how free will is non-existent and how this helps you to remain calm because you're free of the anxiety of choice. You can start to watch yourself taking actions and making decisions and just go along for the ride as the aware consciousness. You just notice thoughts are thought, decisions are made, and all of this happens within consciousness, which is what you really are. So take some time to listen to this reflection and relax your body. Listen to my voice as I go through how free will is an illusion and how this will help you in your life. Any good neuroscientist will tell you that free will is an illusion. It's proven through science in repeated experiments over decades. The fact is, it feels like there is free will. When asked, people think free will is the ability to choose. However, when you really examine free will and what it is, what you think it is, where did those two choices come from, or however many choices you have that you think you're making? Is there any choice in what those choices are? There's some simple logic to look through the illusion of free will. If we had free will, wouldn't we just think happy thoughts all the time? Why do we have so many unhappy thoughts? Why do we torment ourselves with all these negative feelings? Even when we're supposedly happy and everything is going right, the mind is always there, thinking something could be better, something could be different. Free will really was invented by the church to explain the evils of man that were separate from God's will. Really, when you look back through life to all of the things that have brought you up until this moment, to the thoughts in your mind, to the actions being taken, none of it can really be explained. You don't know why those thoughts are there. There's so many innumerable causes that have led up to this moment, from the hormonal level in your mother's body when she gave birth to you, to where you were when you were given birth, to what you had for lunch today, to how well you slept last night, to how your family was when you grew up, or if you didn't have a family, how that was, and all the innumerable causes that have happened in your ancestors, all the people who have been your parents and grandparents through the ages, and all of that biological information that's been passed on in one way or another to form the apparent individual here now. So the apparent choices, the thoughts come into your mind, and apparently there is someone making these decisions. However, when you look into it, the thoughts arise from nowhere. You don't know where the thoughts come from. Thoughts are truly random. You cannot say what your next thought is going to be. They can be apparently focus on one thing. However, focus is never sustained for a very long time. Seeing through the illusion gives you freedom from the anxiety of choice. The more and more you see that whatever arises from a chain of causation that has almost infinite number of different causes throughout the years that have brought you to this moment. And the simple question is, how can you act outside of that chain of causation? how can you actually act outside of all of those different causes? That would be completely impossible, because where would that come from? What would that be? And to act outside of that chain of causation constantly through your choices doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Some people have a strong reaction to this on hearing this news, because it feels like they're taking away from their own feeling of agency, that they're taking these actions and choices, and their sense of egoic pride and claiming that what they're doing is theirs, which is really very laughable and amusing when you really notice that everything is just happening. And the flip side of the coin is that there is no free will, and of course there is no self, there is no person here as a structure, as an entity. There is the process of a person, the concept of being a person, with all of these behaviors and past experiences that have led up to this moment. To listen to this guided meditation, to sit here and take the time. However, there is no individual I am, no individual separate person. All of that are just concepts within consciousness. And so when you understand this concept, that there is no free will and that there is no person, because everything is one, all is one, there is nothing else. So how can there be anything else like an individual? That also doesn't make any sense, that there can be separation from unity. And interestingly, all of this is backed up more and more by science. So, when you next notice that you've made a decision, have a look back and try to see when that decision was made, and notice that the I concept comes in afterwards. If you left your keys somewhere and you found them, you notice that all happens without the I. And then afterwards someone might ask you what you've been doing, and you say, I looked for my keys, I found them there. But all of these thoughts arise randomly. So people really are just a random mass of different behaviors and memories and patterns that have arisen in consciousness, and the I thought has attached to them because they've been repeated, and people have the feeling that they're doing these things, making these choices, making these things happen, without remembering that there is nobody here. But in a way that's understandable, because without being pointed out, it seems self-evident that there is a self here, there is a person, that I am making this decision. However, that's the illusion to see through. That's why it's an illusion. It's a blind spot that has to be pointed out by wisdom. It has to be pointed out by somebody who's not in the dream. Otherwise they're just dream words, a dream book, a dream podcast within a dream. It takes the direct conviction of somebody who is truly awoken to remind you, to shake you when you're asleep in a nightmare, to remind you that it's just a dream. They're just dreams. And so you're free of that anxiety of having to control everything and make these hard decisions. Whatever happens, happens. And all of this frees up your consciousness. You stay in the here and now. All of the imagined things in the world are seen through. And God comes in and helps with everything. There are so many synchronicities and serendipitous moments now, with solutions and remedies to everything, from this understanding that life is just a wonderful flow of lessons and wonderful moments. So take this away today and remember that there is no free will.